Don't forget about the disclaimer, and also remember that everybody who supports me on Patreon gets to see previews, work in progress shots, and high resolution images of the completed product. If you want to join them, even the smallest donation helps me. The link is in the description below. Hello out there! This is WakeAngel2001 coming at you with a commission for Chaoshog17. It is Ray the Flying Squirrel, and this is exciting because it's the first time I made the character since he once again became officially playable in an actual game. Yay, Sonic Mania Plus. He kind of works like Cape Mario. Anyway, in addition to being the first time making the character since he's become playable again, this is also the first time I'm making him from a Charmy base, as opposed to the classic Sonic base that I normally use. This is partly Chaoshog's idea, I think. He thought that it would look better made out of this character, and yeah, I can see how it will be more proportionally sound. The only issue is that Charmy is not compatible for swapping parts with other figures. Ideally, I like to use Sonic's or Tails' shoes because they're the right shape, but I can't put Sonic or Tails' shoes on Charmy's foot pegs, so I'm going to have to keep, these rounded boot-shaped shoes. But really, that's the only downside. Everything else about the figure is pretty good in terms of proportions and looks, but, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's actually customize the figure. Of course, the first step, as usual, is removing Charmy's helmet. It is glued down in some spots, but submerging the head in boiling water for a minute or so softens everything up enough that you can peel it off without damaging anything too bad. And, you still have a helmet left over in case you want to put on something else later. As for what's left of the head, I just had to sculpt it round to be, like Ray's little squirrel head, in addition to the little points of hair that he has on the back of his head and his ears, because he is a squirrel and squirrels have ears. He's yellow, which unfortunately means that there's quite a lot of painting that has to go into this. I have started using some primers to help make lighter colors stick better, and it is helping a little bit, but it still requires multiple coats to make yellow look even remotely okay. The body is not really as heavily modified as I thought it would have to be initially. I just had to cut some of the back of his tail off above the waist joint. Well, not his tail, his abdomen, the part that has a stinger. But I left the bottom half so that it could be used as an anchoring point for the tail, although I did taper it down a little bit. I also sculpted on a belly patch, and it's sculpted on in such a way like the ultimate classic Sonic figure that it moves around the waist joint without actually, taking out the waist joint. A little something I learned from Ultimate Classic Sonic. Okay, so an awkward part of this was that I had to paint the body and paint the hands, but then I had to reattach the arms before I painted the arms because I had to put the skin flaps. You know how flying squirrels have skin flaps to go from their limbs to their torsos? Yeah, I had to make those first and then paint the arms afterwards because I didn't want to glue on top of paint because that might come off easier. And I needed to make sure that I got the skin flaps the right shape, and the only really way to do that is to do it when the arms are actually attached. So that's why you're seeing a picture of the entire torso assembly before before having seen the torso and the arms painted separately. And like I said about the shoes, there really wasn't much I could do for them besides paint them in Ray's pattern. So, yeah, they're still Charmy's shape, but at least they have all the stripes and dots and proper spaces to be Ray's. Sorry, that's the best I could do because, like I said, can't swap out feet in this figure. That being said, though, let's take a look at the completed toy. And there he is! Every time you see a cartoon character that has a somewhat realistic representation of what mammalian wings are like, it always leads you to wonder so many things about cartoon anatomy. Like, for one thing, Ray would never actually be able to wear a shirt. He would need some kind of specially modified poncho that clips in on his shoulders and down by his waist, because like those skin flaps go all the way from his shoulders to his hips, and there's no way you actually put a shirt or jacket on over that. It just wouldn't work. It would have to snap on like a big old onesie. Of course, like the craft foam isn't as flexible. It's not glued to his side. It's only to his arms. So, that's a conceit to allow the arms to still move naturally at the shoulders. But yeah, that's it. And now I'm gonna be thinking about the anatomy of arms. Like I could see why they stuck Rouge's wings on her back, even though that makes her look more like a gargoyle than an actual anthropomorphized bat. But admittedly, it does make it a lot easier to put her in conventional clothing, even though she doesn't have sleeves anyway. But she does have gloves, which she wouldn't need.